If you want to watch the Mets play the Nationals on a shiny new 75-inch big screen, you're out of luck. The game was canceled due to COVID, but we still got the Final Four, and Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley is here to tell us what to watch out for when you're in the market for a new TV. Dan, save us some money here.
Yeah, I'm still very upset that the Mets game is canceled, but I do have some great tips and some deals for TVs that you may be looking for to check out the final of March Madness. I have four in particular. The first I want to start off with is one by Vizio. Now, this is a brand that usually has less expensive TVs. This one, a little bit pricey. It's going to start you at $17.99, 65 inches. The big thing about this, though, and the reason why the price tag is so high, is that it uses OLED technology. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, OLED means organic light emitting diodes, and usually that's the counterpart to LCD screens. OLED essentially means that the TV can turn on and off individual pixels. So black is going to look like actual black. It results in more vibrant colors overall than LCD, but you have that extra price. So it really is a trade-off of whether or not you want that high-end image quality or you don't want to pay $1,700. That's still not a bad deal. The next one up, if you don't want to spend as much money, and something that I honestly had to stop myself from buying, is from TCL. It's $7.99. It's a 55-inch panel. This bad boy uses something called micro LEDs, as well as QLED technology. Now, what QLED is essentially a way for TV makers to almost get as close to OLED screen quality or image quality as they can while still using LCD panels. So the micro LED, they're tiny little LEDs rather than larger LEDs. That means there's going to be less light bleed. And essentially, you're going to get decent image quality, close enough to OLED without that price. And it's $7.99. Look, I literally had to stop myself from putting this in my Amazon cart. Maybe I'll do it a little bit later. One of the big things this has, though, is a gaming mode that you can get out of it. That's going to make sure that the image looks nice and smooth as you go around in Fortnite of Call of Duty. The next one from LG, 65-inch. This bad boy, a little bit more expensive, $19.96. This is from LG, though. They are the kings of OLED panels. Some of the best screens you can get, period. I have an LG, though it's not OLED because I don't have $1,900 to throw around. But the reason why you would want something like this is because of that screen quality and the fact that it uses NVIDIA's G-Sync technology as well as AMD's FreeSync technology, and that allows for much smoother gameplay if you're going to be using this for gaming. Larger screens, typically, if they don't have something like that, you're going to see a lot of lag. In this case, you wouldn't. And then finally, we have a Samsung TV. That's at $697. This is going to be the least expensive of the group. It uses something called dual LED system. Basically, what that means is it's going to correct the color temperature of the LED so that it'll match better what the actual colors on the screen should look like. It's not going to be near OLED. It's not going to be the same as a QLED, but it is going to be better than a standard LCD panel. And if you don't want to spend the big bucks, this is a good opportunity to grab a TV on the cheap. And now I just want to give you a few quick tips. Stick to your budget. I look at TVs constantly because I just want to always buy them. I don't, but it's kind of fantasy window shopping. And I tend to see myself going from $800, $900 up to $1,200. It's easy to do because you think, oh, look, it's a couple $100 more. What's the difference? I'm going to have this for 7 years. But if you really are on a budget, stick to it. The second one is to know your TV size. Just because you want a 75-inch TV doesn't mean you should get one. If it's not going to fit in your space, it's going to look awful. You're going to be looking around all over the place trying to make sure that you can see the screen. If you get one that's too small, you're going to be squinting. You're going to hate the fact that you spent a lot of money on something that you can't really see. And then the final, and this is probably my biggest tip, is do not let anyone in a brick and mortar store or anyone in general rip you off with HDMI cables. If anyone tells you that you have to spend $100 on HDMI cables, they're either getting paid to sell those or they don't know what they're talking about. Either the HDMI cable is going to work or it's not. It doesn't need to be plated in gold or, platinum or anything along those lines. I think the only thing you have to look out for HDMI cables is whether or not it uses HDMI 2.1 or HDMI 2.0. HDMI 2.1 is a newer standard. It means you can use view images at 8K with higher frame rates. That's the way to go if you're getting a more expensive set or you're using a PlayStation 5 or Xbox One. If not, you're getting an older set, you don't really care, go for the HDMI 2.0. The price you should spend really, $20. So don't let anyone rip you off on HDMI cables.
Yeah, Dan, it can be so intimidating when you go in to buy a TV. Number one, because there's just so many different options. We started the conversation by talking about sports, March Madness, baseball. What's the one feature you think our viewers should be looking for if they know that they want the best quality when you talk about live, sort of games? I imagine it's a little different from, for example, gamers who are looking for something else in their TVs.
Honestly, it's essentially the same. Really, what you want is a 4K display. Those are basically, the standard now. It's hard to find something that's 1080p or 720. That's around the $500 range, which is what you might be getting if you're going for a main television. I would say the big thing to make sure that the TV has is HDR technology. That's high dynamic range. That's basically where you're going to get those really vibrant color differences between blacks and whites. There's going to be much better contrast. That's a bigger difference, believe it or not, than going from 1080p to 4K. This is really going to make, if you're watching a game, the green grass really pop, the players pop. And also, if you're watching a movie that's a little darker, you'll be able to make out the screen much better than you normally would because there's that extra contrast. So I think the big thing to look for is HDR. All of the TVs I listed support HDR technology.
Dan Howley with the TV tips. Always appreciate them. Thanks so much for that.